Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Friday. It's July the 18th. It's only about 11:30. I'm doing this a little bit early again today. I was done trading early today, and I mean, this is as good a day as you get. Um, Better than yesterday because it's all in one direction and it's all straight up. And it looks a little messy here. I'll explain that. Um, the darker lines that you see, there's the darker channel with the darker midline. That's what I originally had this morning. That's what I was trading off of. But as we got a little more price action, I reevaluated it, and I believe, even though so this shows you don't have to get it exactly right, but you have to be close, and you can see both of them tend to fit. But let me remove this one and so that you can see the one that I do believe is the proper. And I believe this to be the proper. This is a spiking channel. And after we got a couple more bounces here, I looked at it a little more, and this tends to fit a little bit better. So I like this one better than what I originally had. But the one I originally had got me to the same place, same thing. If you use your shorter term ones in here, that helps too. And so just wanted that to be clear as to because I did originally on the midday chart, I did post the uh, my original one, and I went back about 30 minutes later and did the updated one because it does look this one does seem to fit better, and we're trying to break out of this one. But you can see this is held on both. It's two-tiered. It's held on both sides. It's held really well. We're still finding resistance right there off that line. Although if you have those other two lines on there, they're kind of converging right here. So, um, we could break through here and go higher. I don't know. But this has just been one of those days where you just wait on a correction and you buy, and you just keep buying. So, really good day. And I hope you've had a good day. It's been a really good week. Monday started off very slow, and it was almost depressing Monday. It was so bad. And then suddenly, Tuesday it starts moving, and we've had really good movement every day this week. And I've had quite a few emails this week. I still get the ones from people that are struggling. So if you're struggling, you're not alone. Don't feel like you're the only one because I still get those. But I've gotten more emails this week on people that are having real success than I've had. It seems like each week it's been growing. So people are getting this stuff. People are they're starting to understand it and get it. And so if you're having success, that's great. I'm proud for you. That's why I do this. That's what keeps me doing this when I get those emails and people talk about and I can read your excitement in the actual emails almost. And when that light goes off, it's a great thing. And so I appreciate receiving all the emails. If you're struggling, and need help, if I can help you, I will. Feel free to drop me an email and, with any questions or, things that you're having problems with. And if I can help you, I can. And you're having success. I know I don't hear from y'all near as much, but I enjoy hearing those because it just reinforces what we're doing. So I love to hear them as well. So anyway, um, good. I hope everybody continues to uh, trade well that are doing well and just keep working on it. And that's the thing that you don't understand yet if you're just starting to get it is that you'll only get better. I mean, I didn't even understand that until maybe the last 6 or 8 months. I've really come to understand that the price action is never really wrong. Used to, I think, sometimes what looked like a good trade would just fail, but I've come to the understanding now that the price action is never wrong. We just make mistakes or we don't read something quite right, and that's just part of it. You're always going to have that happen to you. You're going to misread something or get it just a little bit off, or you're just going to make a little bit of a mental error. Maybe you're tired or you're having a bad day or week, and you make a little mental error. And but the thing is, hopefully you recognize it quickly, you correct it, and you move on. And that's the difference. And you don't sit there hoping and praying that if you got short anywhere up through here and made that mistake, you're not sitting here hoping and praying it comes back because on a day like this, on a Friday, um, you know, this thing might just keep going higher, and it may not ever come back. So, I mean, if they buy this thing into the close today, somebody knows something that the rest of us probably don't know. And, you've seen that before. When you close on a high into a Friday, that usually means that somebody thinks the market's going higher, and or else they wouldn't be buying that late on a Friday. So keep that in mind. But yeah, in the end, I think this is the proper channel. And you can see it's holding again up here. Doesn't mean we can't shoot through there, and maybe there's another tier up here. But I like this much better than my original one. And had I seen that, I probably would have liked this trade even better. There's a couple reasons to take this trade actually, but now that I've drawn it this way, I think you just about have to take that trade, and it probably even needs to be blue. I couldn't figure out why we didn't make a new high here and this sold off on my chart, because I would have really expected to make a new high and it turned down here. And when it did, I couldn't quite figure it out. But now that I have a different channel here, we were way past due to come back and test this trend line, and it bounced right off of it. And also, let me show you this. When you got when you went higher here and pulled back, and then you started higher again and had this second leg that didn't quite get a new high, usually that means you're going to get a correction, but you will probably get at least one more push attempt to try to make a new high. And a lot of times when you get this little correction in the middle, it is the center of a measured move. So that measured move it actually could be from here to here, and then up to here. So that means our target today would be way up here, and I don't see us making that the way this channel is angled. But this is what I call a spiking channel. So I would be more prone to think the first leg is from there to there, and then you never grab the one you want. And then the next leg would be from there to there. And you see we've actually met that now and overshot it. But that's something I'd be looking at. I'd be looking at this first move and then the second move from here. And the reason being, this is where the correction was, and then we started back trending again. So that would be more realistic to me than the first one, although you can't rule the first one out if it keeps going higher. So, but let's talk about the trades, and then we'll go from there. First trade I saw was just after I came in. We really were working higher here, and I had my trend line working up. And this is just you got a new high here. You got your first entry short, pull back, second entry short, and there's also a second entry long right there. So I like that one. It pulls back, and then you get a failed second entry short off this. Look at this low here, first entry, pull back, second entry. You're not back up to those highs yet, and it rockets on up, and another quick, easy trade. And then it's correcting here. And the way I originally had and there probably is a shorter term trend line right here, like I had, but I believe it to be more of a shorter term one. And you can see it right there. And we kind of got an overshoot. And then this is the first break, and then you get that little trap there. And so I'm looking for it to go make a new high. And so I like that first entry. And then you get a little two-legged correction back to the EMA. So you get a second entry right there. I liked it. And then when you didn't get that new high yet, and it starts correcting, I was looking for another leg down, but this ended up kind of looking like a trading range here. And so when it broke lower, then I was looking at a failed break lower. Figured then we'd probably get the new high and maybe correct, and we did get the new high, but then we bounced again right there. And so, and that actually worked for my two-tiered channel as well. But now that I'm looking at it like this, it's obvious why I bounced there, and I missed that. But there's still reasons to go long there. This is a breakout pullback long, and there's a first entry off the low, pull back, and when you got those two little, it's kind of hard to see. Let me make my chart a little bit bigger here, and you see those two matching highs right there. I went back and forth whether or not to make that one green, but there's enough room to scalp out before you get here. And you can see that close was outside of that line right there. So this is like a trading range. It's like a breakout pullback long, and it is a second entry. You can't really, this is kind of congestive looking, but if you look, it goes up, it pulls back, it goes up, it pulls back, and then it goes up and closes on its high. I like going long right there with a stop if you had time to get it in there, and you had to be real quick. Um, and if you didn't get it in there, just drop a limit order where the stop would be and hope that it gets filled. And sometimes you'll get filled, sometimes you won't. But this thing took on off here. And then you get another little two-legged correction back. Nice bullish bar. Pulls up, then you get a second entry long counting off the low. And it's also like a little breakout pullback long again, and it's bouncing right off the EMA. This one's a little more risky because it's so close to the high. It's a first entry, but this trend is strong. If you can't understand the trend strong by now, the thing just keeps going higher. And then same thing. This is really just a perfect repeat pattern here after a move up. And by this time I had the new channel in. You can see it bouncing right off that. And people will ask me that a lot of times. When is it okay to take a first entry? Well, the only time I ever say that you want to take a first entry is when the trend is really strong and you're not getting many second entries. You look up through here, the last few have all been pretty much single entries, and it's bouncing off something that's important like the EMA, a trend line, a midline, something of that nature. It's pretty obvious that this channel is dead on now. It doesn't mean that we still couldn't go higher for whatever reason, but I mean, there's enough price action here to see easily that I have the right channel now. So when you get a first bounce off that midline, and that's all it's given you the last few times, and prices are still grinding higher and have been since basically, this thing has been trending up strongly since 5:30 yesterday afternoon to 6:30. It started around on this bar, so about 5:30 yesterday afternoon, this thing started rallying, and it's rallied all night and all day. And those are the kind of trend days. That's a strong trend day. Doesn't mean it can't end at any time. And that's one other thing I wanted to share with you today is what happens to people is that they want confirmation. Common sense says, you can't go long till you get confirmation. But what happens is by the time you get confirmation, it's too late. You've missed all the good trades, and that's what will happen. Let's say you saw this original short-term channel right here, and you got a couple of swings here. You draw it off there. You get a bounce here. It pulls back, and you get a bounce here. And you're waiting, and finally it bounces again, and so okay, I got confirmation now. So when it comes back again, I'm gonna buy it. And it comes down here, and half the time I'll see people just buy here blindly or something, and they get trapped, and then it goes lower. And it's like, shoot, what the heck? So by the time you get the real confirmation, the move is over and it's correcting. And so then they think it's time to go short, and they whip. They get caught long and it's moving down on them, and they say, okay, well, look at it, it's time to go short now. Look how, and so they think they got confirmation, and the market's selling off, and then they go short right here, and they just do that over and over, and so then it gets just kind of iffy in here, and it doesn't really start trending again until I would say right here. This is when you knew it was trending again, and out of this little correction type thing, and all it really was doing was going to the other side of the channel and rebooting and headed higher again. And so now that it's finding resistance, it'll probably head back to this side, and it may be because the market was so strong it didn't really sell off. It just chopped off, it just chopped across there. We may just chop across here again, or we could get a big sell off, and this could be it though, and we may get your channel break or something now. Who knows? But if you got to understand what's happening here, and that's what's going on here, is that it was just time for a correction, and we were headed to the other side, and you see how much it struggled to get over there, but once it did, the thing kind of resets and starts trending higher again. And this was really when most people probably recognized, hey, we're going higher again. And then look at it, and this is when they started hitting the stops. So all the people that got short across here, all the counter trend traders that trying to buy the top, sell the tops, look at it hitting their stops, and that's why it burst up, and then it slows down a little bit, and the same thing happens. They start piling up the shorts, and it breaks higher, and it bursts up again. And you'll see that happen over and over and over. And just, on a trend day like this with everything pointing up, don't be looking to sell until you get a confirmed trend in the other direction. And you never get that here. You get a little bit of a short-term trend to get a break, a push to a new low, and then it kind of just goes into a range. But it never really sells off. You don't get a trend in the other direction. You just get a little range here. And that's because the market is strong. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention today, and then I'm going to call it a day, and I'm going to start my weekend. But, um, we had this big sell-off yesterday, and, you wonder what causes that. And, I mean, yesterday the afternoon was just as good, if not better, than the morning. So if you didn't, this is one of those days, if you didn't make it in the morning, you got a good chance to make it back in the afternoon. I was long gone when all this came in here. But you'll get people, asking about these sell-offs, and they're reading the news, and there's, and somebody will say, well, this caused it or that caused it. And don't, it doesn't matter. I don't care what I don't even go read the news, because all it will do is confuse you. And you don't need the news to tell you what's happening here. All you need to do is be able to read this chart and understand what's going on, and follow the rules and get on board with it. So don't worry about news. If you're watching CNBC or any of the news channels and trying to use that to help you in your trading, don't watch it. Trust me, it'll just confuse you. Learn to read the price action, and you don't need any news. I believe personally they write the news to fit the price action. I'm convinced of that, because nobody knows. Even if they suggest the news did that, it doesn't mean that's really what happened. So I'm convinced of that now. It took me a long time to understand that. I used to sit here and think you needed CNBC and 4 or 5 screens and different charts and different markets, and you don't need any of that. You just need one screen, one chart, one market, and you don't need any news. You need to know when big news items are coming out. You heard me talk about that. You need to know if there's going to be high volatility news announcement, and you need to probably be flat when that comes out, because you don't know what's going to happen. I don't care what anybody says. The news could be great and the market will sell off. The news can be horrible. The market will rally. Nobody knows what the news is going to do. So even if you knew in advance, it wouldn't help you. I used to think, it's market's rigged. They knew what the news was going to be. It doesn't. No, I don't believe that anymore. The market may be rigged, but it doesn't matter. All you got to do is just get a piece of it when it makes the move and go with it. So I just think that nobody knows what the news is going to do, and everybody thinks they do. And when you get them all fighting back and forth, it gets real big and volatile, and you get big moves like this right here. And where is... probably spot a news event somewhere across here. I don't even really see one. Generally, you can spot them. There hadn't been any real big news lately. This might have been a big news event. Notice how this thing was flat, and all of a sudden, whew, that might have been a news event. But generally, if you just look at this price action all across here, you just follow it, and that might have been a news event there. But generally, it doesn't matter what the news is. Don't worry about it. Don't waste your time with it, because it's my opinion. It's just my opinion. Somebody else may have a different opinion, but I've been doing this a long time, and my opinion is it doesn't matter what the news is. You need to know when it's coming out, if it's high volatility, because you'll get whipsawed, or you could take a big loss. You might get lucky and have a big win, but the odds are you'll probably take a big loss, because and that's another thing. The price action is still valid during those news items. The problem is it just moves so fast, and it moves so much further that you can't read it fast enough, and your normal stops and things, the rules we use, or you have to throw them out the window temporarily. So uh, I've talked about the news indicator. It's free. It's on our website. Download it if you want it. It tells you when news. Notice there's nothing else coming out today, but if there was, it would be listed up here, and I have mine. Where is it? The economic news right here, and the one I have up there is the one that doesn't have any advertisements that somebody sent me, and I have it set to warn me 5 minutes before the news comes out, and I only use U.S. events. I'm only worried about U.S. events, and I'm only worried about today's stuff. I don't want a bunch of stuff, stacking up over here, taking up my chart. And I don't show any low priority either. I only show, um, medium and high volatility, low volatility. Even the medium ones rarely make any noise on the chart, but sometimes they might, so it's worth knowing they're coming out. But the ones that I really pay attention to are the high volatility ones, the one that'll come up here in red. And, I want to be out, I want to know 5 minutes before it's coming out, because if I'm in a trade, I may want to exit. And I don't want to enter any new trades during that 5 minutes before those high volatility ones come out, because I might get myself in trouble. So, but other than that, who cares what the news says? It wouldn't matter if you knew it in advance. You can't understand what's going to happen. And in the end, I believe they write the news to fit the price action. And, there may be some times that something crazy happens, like on 9/11. There's no doubt that affected the market, and it was obvious. But a lot of times it may look semi-obvious and have nothing to do with the sell-off or the rally in the market. So just to me, it's not worth it. I don't care. All I want to know is when something big's coming out, and past that, that's all I care about. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up today. I'm going to start my weekend. I hope you had a great trading week. We'll be back to do it Monday. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.